Well, the question I asked you was, does self-love enhance the ego?
And the other one?
Do you consider yourself a Christian?
To the second one, Bodhi, I wouldn't dare to. Who am I to take on myself such a name? I've said before that the only really safe label I would apply to myself is that of a sinner. That means one who has turned away from God and fallen into this corrupt body you see sitting in front of you. Well, I don't know about theology, dear. I steer clear of such complicated things, but that's my gut instinct. And similarly, that question about love, self-love, I feel much safer with the opposite. Anything that leads towards self-aggrandizement is in the wrong direction. The only safety in this world is humility. Therefore, to repeat, self-aggrandizement is a slippery slope to destruction. I don't recommend it to anybody, and I shun it myself. It may be fashionable, like human rights and all these other things. The only right we have is to repent, is to turn back to God. Well, dear, we're talking about attitudes now, and you asked me what do I think and what is my opinion. Both are part of this complex of mind, and the real work, you see, is to be present here now. Feet on the ground, listen and look, and realize the presence of Spirit. This presence of Spirit that we've been coming back to again and again throughout these meetings. Now you see, not only did all this speculation about self this and self that, and do you think and opinions, they all belong to this world of mind, this churning world of mind, which is frankly just left behind, part of the confusion of what we call this world. What can we take with us beyond the grave? What are our opinions then? What about this vanity of self-love? What are you talking about? It's laughable, isn't it? Just repeat that in your mind. What can I take beyond the grave? From these 3 days we've spent together, we're all in a few hours, we're all going to go our separate ways. So much of what we've been hearing and seeing will be forgotten. So what endures? What will remain with us? And who and what is the real teacher? Isn't it this Spirit? How about asking these questions of the Spirit? Just feel the magnitude of what we're talking about, the scale of the Spirit. that stretches beyond this room out into the sky. Embraces the whole world, doesn't it? Contains the heavens, contains the whole cosmos. And we're invited to realize our identity with that. To love that and be loved by that. And here's this little puppet called John Butler sitting on a chair. Self-love. What are we talking about? What is my opinion on? Yes, we can crawl back into our little holes if we want to. It's our choice, isn't it? To be or not to be. To save our soul or lose it. The opportunity is always now, isn't it? Always here and now. Yes, not everybody wants to be free. There's a lot of people love themselves to the extent that they want to stay there. Yes, admiring themselves and talking to other people about who also love themselves. Mutual interest. Most conversation is about swapping similar ego ideas, isn't it? You know, those of us who love the same things gather together and form clubs and sort of things. Bird watchers, me watchers. Well, that's the choice, dears. What is it that calls us? Where do we set our sights? What do we really, really want in life? A bigger me or no me at all? Maybe it's rather too difficult to answer that one. Maybe we can only go that far, or maybe that far, or maybe that far. And maybe each year we grow, we may get a bit bigger or smaller. Not everybody reaches for the stars. One or two of you have mentioned the sadness that we feel that we've grown so close, haven't we, in some ways? Almost unbelievably close. It is. It's beyond belief, isn't it? It's beyond description. To really meet someone is, well, something wonderful, isn't it? To look into those eyes, and where do they end? It's infinite, isn't it? So how can we ever lose it? We can hardly bear the thought of parting. We want to cling on to each other, don't we, and forever. You know, I think of that lovely occasion recorded in the Gospels as Jesus saying goodbye to his disciples. Do you know what he said? I can't remember the exact words, but something about, I will send you a comforter. And then what happened, you see? He disappeared from them in the flesh. He died, of course, as I will die, as we'll all die. But then the Spirit became ever more alive. Not that it wasn't always there, but it sort of reached a new reality, didn't it? And that's been with us ever since, hasn't it? The Spirit. The invisible friend. The comforter. The teacher, the one who will teach us all things. So that's the place to go for these questions, you see. Ask the Spirit. And then you'll find that a lot of your questions you won't even ask because they'll evaporate before you even reach the Spirit. They'll answer themselves, you see, because the real answer to every question is that there is no question. You see, questions dissolve like mist before the sun. Questions are only indicative of our separation, you see. It's so obvious, isn't it, this presence of Spirit? What's there to ask? All you can do is just melt into it, surrender into it, give your heart to it. And also the question arose over breakfast as to, well, what happens next? And of course, what you receive, we must give. Each generation dies out, and the next continues. This is your work, this is my work, and it's been passed on to you. Do you know, after half a lifetime of trying to find my occupation in this world, and I'm very happy as a farmer, and gradually I came to, over quite a number of years gradually, the reality of this work, which we call the work, this real work, began to take over all worldly occupations for me. Nothing else seemed as important as this. And to begin with, long before Phil appeared on the scene, I was just quietly meditating in a corner, unseen, unknown, of no interest to anybody. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter in the slightest. The only thing that matters is that you feel in your heart that this is the direction. Never mind if the world agrees with you. Just keep plodding on. This work of self-abandonment. That's what we can do with the self. Instead of loving it, abandon it much better. Self-abandonment, you see, to this work of returning to Spirit, of raising consciousness. But never mind about raising consciousness, just attend to yourself, putting yourself right, and then automatically the ripples will radiate out. It's nothing to do with us. This is the work. Every minute of every day, whenever we remember, if we forget, you're lost. When you remember, put it into practice. As you drive home, you'll forget, then you'll suddenly remember. Come into the present. You've got to be present. If you're not present, you're absent. Be present. And just feel this presence. Hold on to it. Then you'll forget again. It's quite normal. This is why it's work. We've got to keep coming back, Practice makes perfect. Both in your inner meditation and in the outer meditation. Two are complementary. that whenever you don't know what to do or what to say, do this. And this will guide you. This will be your strength and your salvation. The Lord is with us. It's true, isn't it? And isn't it true, you see, you can see the less of this really true, isn't it, that the less of me. You know, if I was pouring out eloquent words to you, there'd be less of this, isn't it? But the quieter, the less obtrusive my voice is, my presence is, the more of this is apparent, isn't it? So humility is much more powerful than any form of self-aggrandizement, you see. It's in being nothing that the all is accessed. Therefore trust humility, my dears. The less of me, the more of God. God is the Almighty. All the needs of this world, all poverty, you see, all sickness, all need of any sort, it's all when you leave the infinite providence. Now, if most of the world does not realize it, how much more important it is that some people do realize it and put it into practice, you see. This is your work. You may not think you know very much, but you know, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And often you don't need to say anything more than just be silent. Just know. Just affirm in your own consciousness that this is real. And that in itself is sufficient. It's not you that move mountains, it's this. It's trust, you see. And then the more you give it, the more you will receive. Again, I remember the last words of Jesus. He spoke of peace, didn't he? Peace I give unto you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, give I unto you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Oh yes, I know someone was asking about death. Well, of course I don't know, but it's always seemed to me that when we meditate, it's really a rehearsal for death. Because isn't that just what happens? You occasionally, at least, one may lose consciousness of one's body, and even occasionally of one's thoughts. And yet, there's nothing wrong. It's rather nice. I've been meditating a long time. I've never ever once had a bad experience. Not once in 60 years of meditation. So maybe death is just like meditation. You just forget about your body and your thoughts and go. I don't know where we go. I don't know where I go when I meditate. You're beyond knowing, don't you? That's perhaps why nobody's been able to come back and tell us what's there, because nobody knows. You don't know. But I think it's probably having reaching the end of this preparatory school, this kindergarten school of what we call the world. I think we probably go on now to the next school, to the high school, maybe. Maybe. Who knows? But for sure, this I think as we're all sitting here, perhaps we'd all agree that actually this presence is rather, at least comparably, and perhaps even more real for us, than the me. There's no great loss to lose the me if we thereby become even more the spirit. And for sure, the spirit doesn't die, does it? Been here 1,000,000 years. It's beyond time, isn't it? So I suppose that's meant by saving the soul and not worrying too much about the flesh. It's the soul that matters, the spirit that becomes ever more significant as we get older and develop in the work. And hence, you see, in relation to these social questions about self-love, and rights and all human rights, all this sort of thing, if you can see it in this context, the answer is there, is provided, isn't it? You see, of course, the world emphasizes this. This is the nature of the world, but the work emphasizes that. We have the choice. Oh yes, the other question was am I a Christian? Well, if we return to this spirit, you see, what happens? Well, so it seems that it's rather like this rain, you see. Before the rain sort of formed droplets and fell as rain, it was vapor, wasn't it? It was clouds, visible clouds in the sky. Before that, it was sort of invisible, subtler vapor. The vapor condensed to form clouds. Clouds fall as rain, doesn't it? The rain forms puddles, which in a month or two may freeze into ice. Frozen rain, full of sharp edges, solidity. Winter. Now, isn't that just what happens, you see, from spirit? Spirit precipitates in exactly the same way. Forms thoughts, opinions, all the sort of mentality, which then crystallizes into matter. You start off thinking you're going to go on holiday or something, and lo and behold, you go on holiday. It materializes, doesn't it? So this is really frozen spirit, isn't it? Frozen spirit. And when, as obviously happened this morning, it melts, it begins to return this way, doesn't it? The cycle is complete. So we fall from higher consciousness, from spirit, into this, which in comparison is death. And of course it does die because you're cut off from the source of life. And then, if we're fortunate and get in contact with the work, we'll return. And to begin with, in the first sort of vaguely describable forms of it are love and freedom and peace. And then we touched on the elements, air, fire, water, earth, which again sort of conglomerate and precipitate into all forms of creation, the names and forms of creation. And in this process, names appear, names and forms. So again, all our emphasis on names and forms, do you call yourself this or that, is part of the, in a way, the downward thrust of creation. Whereas the nameless and formless is to return. So it's a very mixed blessing, isn't it, to have name and form, put much emphasis on it. Our love of are you, labelling, we need to sort of be a bit careful of it. Because before we know we are where we are, we've imprisoned ourselves in a category which is then different from another category. And we lose the sense of oneness, which is the true reality of things. I find myself, it's rather funny how these things gradually sort of sink into one's own sort of behaviour, but I don't really like signing myself at the end of letters now as John. I don't really feel it's what I am any longer. Funny, isn't it? I used to like thinking of myself as John, a different man. I was an individual, wasn't I? No, I'm sort of rather embarrassed by it. Gradually, over a long lifetime, these sort of things actually sink into our thick heads, don't they, and become real to us. And at some point, it seems so terribly important to say I'm a Christian, or I'm a Buddhist, or I belong to so and so, or do this or that, but then it doesn't matter at all. Barriers melt away. I'm getting better at this job then, if I melt the questions away. I'm learning. I keep telling you, I'm only a child myself in this work. Just a little schoolboy learning my first lessons in life. It really feels like that, my dears. I'm not a wise old man, I'm just a little boy with a grey beard. But one of the great things that we do realize as we progress along this way is that wherever we're going, whatever it is that we're aiming for, is nothing but goodness. It really is. It's infinitely benevolent. There's nothing nasty at all. We leave all that behind. It really is. God is described, God is love, and that's borne out by experience, because honestly, everything else just melts away. So we've nothing to fear. And I repeat, in all my years of meditation, I've never ever had a bad experience. All that's in this world. It's in between, interaction between all our egos. Of course, this is most of the time all we know of life, isn't it? Interaction of ego. So of course we're always getting it wrong. Well, this is what we're talking about. The ego, you can call the devil. You see, think of it. Evil is live, spelt the wrong way around, isn't it? EVILLIVE. You see. It's very convenient in English to have these two words, you see. And that's literally what it is. You see, I can demonstrate today because the sun's shining. There is light and there is darkness. We've simply turned the wrong way around. And that's why in this world the blind lead the blind, and we project the works of darkness. And that's why all we've got to do is this, in coming to spirit, and the separation melts away. There is no me. But come back to here. And of course, it's nothing but me. I'm the centre of the world. It revolves around me. And the world is under the domain of the Prince of Darkness, which is the devil, which is the ego. And all the old, we're a bit sort of reticent of speaking in this way these days. It's sort of not politically correct, is it? But if you look at the old medieval pictures, when they called a spade, they were very, very graphic about it, weren't they? Illustrating and it's not unreal. But because we do not live in presence, then all these questions arise.